Now it's time for culture swap. Swap my culture. Come on, we've got a time limit. Let's go. Kill or Be Killed, Volume 1. Kat, why'd you recommend it?
Bloody hell, mate. So, the reason I recommended Kill or Be Killed is because when I was reading single issues, it was probably my favourite one I was reading because The Walking Dead was starting to slip. And single issues started to get too expensive when I started working for myself. So really, I picked this for Culture Swap just so Liam would buy the volume because I knew he'd get hooked on it. So now I don't have to pay to read it.
I love it. That's the kind of reasoning that I like to hear, Kat.
That is 100% the truth.
I'm a bit jealous though because, Kat, could you just explain there is a very key difference between the single issues and the volume, the collected volume?
In the single issues, at the back, the writer, Ed Brubaker, he does his like a letter at the back of the single issues, but instead of just talking about the comic or having like people write in like The Walking Dead does, he talks about the things that he's been watching and reading, and I find it fascinating. So he'll be talking cool. about films or TV shows that he's watching, but also stuff that he's working on, and they're all kind of like, because if you like the comic, you're pretty likely to like the stuff he's talking about.
Fair enough. That's cool.
It is cool. You don't get that with the volumes, unfortunately.
Which is a shame. I wish they did include that.
Yeah, it would be cool if they had like a collection of those like at the back of the comic.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Yeah. Like how they do with the like alternate covers.
Yeah. So that's basically the reason why I picked it, and because I was obviously curious about what you both think about it. But should I say what I think about it first?
Well, why don't you say what it's about?
Okay.
Well, very quickly.
Yeah.
This is, for listeners that aren't aware, we spoil the shit out of whatever we talk about in Culture Swap. So if you want to read Kill or Be Killed, which I recommend to anyone that has listened to our reviews of like Nailbiter and stuff and thought that was good, you'd probably enjoy this.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
So go read it. If not, listen to us spoil it. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. So Kill or Be Killed is basically about this guy called Dylan who it starts like he decides to kill himself because his life's pretty shit. And as he jumps off of this building, he lands in like this washing line. And long story short, he ends up getting another chance at life. But there's a cost, and that cost is that some like creepy ass demon comes along and says that he has to kill somebody every single month to stay alive. And that's pretty much sums it up, I think.
Yeah, that is a pretty accurate summary.
Well, but also... No, I'm just saying, like, to add on to that, while that is an accurate summary, I think, for me at least, the stuff that I found most engaging is there's also this, like, love triangle that's going on.
Yeah, see, I find that part of the story less interesting. Like, I still like it.
Don't worry, Kat. That's a very, very Liam thing to have appreciated in a thing.
Yeah,
is
true.
Not the thing that everyone else enjoyed, but the talking bits and
bloody
the real
mumblecore.
Emotional stuff.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I appreciated the bit where we actually got characters. Oh, my bad.
No, Liam. Sorry, you did that wrong. What you meant to say is I enjoyed the bit that wasn't the main focus of the story.
I would disagree that is the main focus. I think I think it's a dual focus. There's two focuses.
It's not the main focus, but it's alongside.
Well, I think even in that like love triangle bit, the love triangle isn't the main part of that.
No, it kind of like...
What do you mean?
It sort of, what's the word? It flips back and forth because the love triangle part is not really like all that important when he's going out and having to kill someone. And then it switches back to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're not overly connected at the moment. Yeah.
One of the... So, like, the thing that I found interesting... So, Liam's is the love triangle. Kat's not said yet because she did the description. But, like, the bit that I thought was the most interesting about this, especially this volume, I don't know if it will change in later ones, but I like that it plays with the whole, is Dylan just mad?
Yeah. It's never really, like, entirely clear.
Because he explains the logical reasons for why what he's seeing isn't true, where he, like, falls off the roof and he's like, oh my god, I just saw a demon. And then the next panel is him waking up and being like, yeah, I tried to convince myself that actually maybe I just broke my wrist falling off the roof and didn't feel it because of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then he sort of does it in a way where he's like, but that obviously can't be it. And you're like, no, I think that might be it.
Well, I feel like at first...
Then there's the demon.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, there is the demon, Liam. And then there's the final panel of the book, which is Dylan looking at his dad's artwork and seeing the demon man in the drawings.
Liam didn't even pick up on that. He had to read it again. He had to look at the last page again.
It's not even subtle. It's like the most obvious thing.
No,
it literally ends with a comic book cover with the demon on it.
Yeah, so, all right, let me just explain how the very last page, right? So,
yeah.
It's him and Kira are talking because they've started sleeping together and stuff. And she's getting quite concerned for him, and she's seen this, like, comic cover, and then she's speaking to him, and she says, so listen, we need to talk. So my eyes saw that, then looked down, and this comic book cover is these, like, horned ladies with their tits out. So I went, we need to talk. I was like, oh, bloody hell, I wonder what that's about. Tits. Finished.
Yeah, no.
I think that goes back to what
I didn't see the
like,
demon.
Main interests are in the comic. If you're interested in the relationship, so you're like, oh shit, what's she want to talk about? Whereas me and Ellie are like, oh, what's all this stuff to do with the demon? Oh, we've seen the demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening with all this murdering? And Liam's like, I just really hope him and Kira end up together.
Yeah, because she's quite, like, I don't want to say damaged, but she's got things she's working through as well.
Oh,
no, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, one of the, like, themes of this comic is not necessarily mental illnesses, because as far as we are presented with, there's not really anything except the depression. Like, Kira's not mentally ill, she's just a bit messed up. And not even necessarily messed up, but, like, she thinks she's damaged.
Yeah.
He's got his own shit going on.
Well,
where
she had
he
an
might be
interesting
mental.
upbringing where she, like, at quite a young age was witness to an orgy with her mum in the middle.
But then that didn't. But the whole point of that scene was that it didn't mess her up. It just gave her a different view on sexuality, which is that it shouldn't. It's not necessarily a, like, she's not necessarily. It feels like they were trying to say, so she's kind of polyamorous.
Yeah. She's not.
Yeah.
So to her, the cheating might not be bad, even though the cheating is definitely bad.
It's not the cheating; it's the lying about the cheating.
Well, no, that's what cheating is. Cheating is sleeping with someone else when you're not meant to, so you're lying, right? Cheating is always bad, Liam. There's no good cheating. People in polyamorous relationships aren't cheating on each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Mason, who's Kira's partner, obviously not aware that she's sleeping with someone else, so it's not a polyamorous
Yes.
relationship.
Mason definitely wouldn't be happy.
No.
Yeah, he'd be sad.
Yeah.
Or angry.
But yeah, so like,
But stop
I feel like
listing emotions, for fuck's sake.
he's doing lists again, Kat.
Oh, this episode's going to be titled some bullshit like Liam Does Lists.
Yeah.
Oh no, mate, I've already got the name and it's fucking great.
What is it?
There's not enough music in this book. I can't believe you think it'd be anything else.
That's a great name.
I know. As soon as he said it, I was like,
That's it. I've
episode's
written it
name.
down. Oh, Liam.
Anyway, get on with Kill or Be Killed. Fuck, we've got, like, time limits and shit.
Alright, fine. But yeah, like, honestly, I just think this book is really interesting. I love anything that's doing the whole maybe this isn't real, because it, like, nothing supernatural happens in this book except the demon parts, and they're all bits that could be just him imagining it.
Yeah, and that's
Ellie.
what I like about it the most as well, I think, because it's not like overly supernatural, but you have that element to it where you're not entirely sure. And
when the demon popped up, I genuinely was like, this is unusual for Kat to recommend us a
I'm
paranormal
not
thing.
that
And then
sort
when
of-
I was like, oh, it's not paranormal particularly.
But I do really think the demon looks really fucking cool.
Yeah.
The artwork in the book is really good. Because isn't it the same? Liam, you know this. The guy who did the artwork works with Ed Brubaker on his other books, right?
Yeah, so I was just about to ask, Ellie, so you've got Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips who have worked together on a load of stuff. Have you read any of the other stuff they've done?
I don't know about Ed Brubaker. I just looked through Sean Phillips' stuff, and I know he did the main art for Marvel Zombies, and Marvel Zombies is one of my favourite Marvel things.
Really? I wasn't a big fan of it.
I love Marvel Zombies. I think it's great.
Fair enough. Yeah, so Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips worked together on something called Criminal, which is really good. I'd recommend that. And Fatale, which I haven't read. And The Fade Out, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend to you, but to our listeners. If you're thinking of, let's say you're a film fan and you want to get into comics, The Fade Out is like a film noir in comic form. It's really good. It's a great, like, jumping in point if you're new to comics but love films.
But anyway, back to Kill or Be Killed.
Yep.
I also really liked, it feels a bit like a sort of reverse mystery type thing. Like, I've read comics before that are kind of detective comics that are about finding out who the bad guy is to, like, I don't know, arrest them or whatever. Whereas this is like Dylan hunting out and trying to decide what makes a person a bad person. And
Yeah,
like,
that's
whether that's
interesting.
justifiable that, oh, well, if this guy did... Because the first kill is, like, pretty obvious that you're like, oh, yeah, that guy pretty much deserves to die.
He was a paedophile.
He was a pedo.
But, so, just before we move off from the paedophile thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point in that when Dylan kills him, Dylan doesn't know that. He thinks he knows that, but even he says, I might be making that up. I don't know if I'm right. So the premise to me of someone who has to find bad people, is it justifiable? It's never justifiable to kill someone in my book anyway.
No.
But for the sake of this comic book, it's an interesting question in, does the fact that he happened to be right, and it wasn't even the paedophile thing, it was that the guy was like part of a paedophile ring.
And his killing it helped reveal that ring.
But he didn't do it for that reason or knowing that.
No.
So,
and you also have
the fact that he then justifies it is fascinating to me.
You also have the Russian mob that he tries to go after, and the fact that he then gets attacked by one of the girls, and
kills her.
Yeah.
Or shoots her in the stomach.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think
if
that's
she
the
actually
interesting. That's the interesting thing about it, is because he reveals this paedophile ring by killing this guy. So that sets him on his path of like, right, if I pick the right people, I can do a lot of good with this.
Yeah.
Which
like
is kind of
weird.
like Death Note in a way.
Oh, I wouldn't know because I've not read it. But...
I thought Ellie had read it.
Kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
I mean, I don't know. Like in Death Note, he's much less like, I'm doing this to reveal the bigger issue. He's just like, if I can find the name for someone who's bad, I'll kill them.
I've just realised there's a big patch of hair on my chin that I didn't shave yesterday, and that's like a
fascinating
whole day. That's
Thanks, Liam.
36 hours.
Oh my goodness, what a life you live. I wish you'd known that for catching up with. That would have been so fascinating. Yeah. Anyway, back to this really cool comic book that we're talking about.
Yeah, I like how dark it is overall, to be honest.
Yeah, it's super fucked up
thematically,
and dark.
not like colours.
Or both, really. Like, it is, like you were saying about the whole film noir thing with the fade out.
Yeah.
Like, it is quite like...
There's a bit of artwork, and like the fact that it's a comic. I'm explaining myself really bad. There's a bit that I really liked that you could only ever do in a comic, but it's just a really nice technique. So it's in the first volume. It's quite early on, and it's a panel where you've got Mason and Kira sat on a sofa with Dylan kind of next to them but separate, and then Dylan is like in his own separate panel just to emphasise that separation.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I thought that was really nice.
I think there's a lot of touches like that in it, and I also like that there are like spreads of it that are completely different to the rest of it. And you have these sort of ones where where you've got like the white panel down the side and you've got the text.
Yeah.
I liked all that stuff.
Yeah, those are the ones I was thinking of.
I was less of a fan of those.
Oh, it's so miserable.
You would be.
No.
So I read it all on Kindle.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to buy the volume. I'll just get it on Kindle. That's going to be easier. And Kindle does that thing where it does animation between the panels. So you can either read the whole page or use the like zoomed in version.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. The iPad does it.
And usually I prefer reading the full spread. But this book super works with that zoomed in thing. Because, like, for example...
Wait, you just cut out for me. I didn't hear anything you said.
Yeah, you cut out for me too.
Oh, it's all right. It'll still be recorded. But
I heard after this book.
After this book?
I heard up to this book.
Oh, well, I'll just say it again because I have no idea what that bit was.
Yeah.
I read it all on Kindle. I really liked the... I've lost my train of thought.
You liked the animated bit.
Yeah.
I liked the animated bit because it works really well for this graphic novel. Because like that bit you were saying with the half a page being white with the text and the other half being the picture.
Yeah.
Like the way that animates between them it really emphasises that. Like, because you're going from a panel of just white, so your whole phone is just white with the words in it, then you're jumping to the image.
That could be so
really
hit and
helped
miss,
emphasise the narration bits.
But how does that work, right? So there's a page, right, where it's just one panel, but then like 6 paragraphs. So do you get 6 lots of white text and then the panel, or is it all that white text is just put in one page for you, sort of thing?
So how's the paragraph done? What?
So you've got one panel, and then you've got 3 paragraphs, and like in the page, 3 paragraphs along the top, then a big space, then another 3, then a big space, and then a final one.
Well, it depends on I can't remember that exact example, but it depends on the person that's done the animations.
Yeah.
Because someone sits down and does these, figures out where things go.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So on stuff where like the text is the focus at the beginning, it will start on the text, and then wherever that image is the most relevant. So either I imagine for that one, it probably did it at the end or the beginning. So you would have had a massive zoom onto the picture, got the picture, then done the text, or maybe done the text, then gone to the picture. Like, it works really well on pages where the text is embedded in the image, but there's multiple sections, because you get a full page spread that then zooms into the text.
Right.
Like, honestly, I get why people wouldn't like it, and I think there's an immediate reaction to be like, I don't like this because it's not the way it was intended to be. But it is, and I think a lot of work goes into the person who figures out how it's going to work, and it looks really nice.
Because I don't think I would like that, because a part of the skill of like a good comic is how it directs your eye from sort of panel to panel and how the text fits in. So having like an app that is doing that for you, I wouldn't like. I'd feel like it's sort of taken me out of what the comic was trying to do itself, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. I personally think that's a shit argument.
I mean, I get it,
whatever.
but I've done both, and I don't think it really... Because I read, I think it was The Killing Joke on my iPad in that way. I think it was that one.
Yeah.
And I thought it worked quite well. The only reason I read it on the iPad, because you can only buy it in hardcover, and I didn't want that. And
that's fair.
that animation works really well for some comics, I think.
Yeah, I honestly think, Liam, if you were... I know you've already bought the volume for this, so you aren't going to do it. But, like, I think it's worth trying it on a comic that you know it works for.
Yeah.
Like, don't gamble and be like, maybe it'll work on this one, because I get it. There probably are ones where that effect is shit, and for those, I don't read it in that view.
Yeah.
I read it in the standard
But
view.
there's no way of knowing beforehand, is
You
there?
literally start and you go, if this doesn't work in the first page,
You just
I'm going to
switch
not do
it.
it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not like you have
okay,
to
got
read
it,
it.
got it.
Yeah, you don't buy it in that like setting. You get the
yeah.
whole comic, and then it's just like an optional. Do you want to
Well,
view it
I
in
was
the Zoom
thinking
book?
more like, do you get digital or paperback? So once you've made that commitment, you're kind of locked in. But yeah, it doesn't have to be panel by panel.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
That's I only buy comics digitally now,
Okay.
and you can choose. Like I read all of
Wicked and Divine.
I read one of them in IRL, and then the other ones I read on my phone.
Yeah. I have to say, this was a lot better than The Wicked and the Divine.
It's a great comic. I mean, I've not read The Wicked and the Divine, but I don't think I would like it.
They're good for different reasons. I love both of them.
This had boobs and bush in it.
Yeah, Liam likes this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I liked the sort of like horror/crimey elements to it, and that it was quite dark.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool look at... It's taking something that is like the standard story for a hero, like apart from the, it adds the element of he's got to kill them to live.
Yeah.
But it's taking the idea of a person being a vigilante and killing baddies, or taking out baddies, whatever. But it looks at it in a different way than just the generic, he's the hero, so you've got to believe him. And it's more like, no, this guy could be wrong, and we want you to think he probably could be wrong. Like, don't just think this guy's the goodie.
Yeah, I think if you like Dexter, whether that's the books or the TV show, then you'd probably like this. Like, they're different, but they're obviously dealing with like a similar theme of supposed kind of good guy killing bad guys.
Yeah.
And obviously I seem to like that for some reason.
Yeah, you do. I out of all of the Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips stuff that I've read, this is probably my favourite at the moment. Like, I've already bought Volume 2. I've been holding off of reading it.
Basically, my plan worked.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, you've done exactly what you wanted, Kat.
I've got exactly what I wanted.
I will say, and I don't know how this works on the digital version, but at least in the paperback, the text that they use for when the demon's speaking isn't necessarily the most legible.
No, I think
It's
it's
a weird
I'm just trying to get
font.
to a bit where it speaks.
It's legible enough, but I know what you mean.
Yeah,
you kind of have
it's
to
a weird
concentrate a
font.
little bit more.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though.
It's in the first volume, Ellie, if you're looking for it.
No, I found a panel with him.
Cool.
It's readable, but I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm really like picking at straws or whatever that saying is.
Clutching at straws.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can I point out another thing that I super liked about this?
No.
Okay.
You've had enough.
Can I explain?
Oh,
I
definitely
really
not.
like-
No, Ellie is
I
definitely
really like-
allowed to explain over whatever you're going to explain.
So I know you were when you said at the beginning, Kat, that you meant dark in the, or Liam said in the whatever. Whatever. This comic is kind of dark in a actual colour sense.
Yeah.
Who did the colours?
What?
Who did the colours?
I've got no fucking idea, mate. We're not doing this again.
No.
I really like that it is dark, but they use that whole... One of the things I love when comic books do is the red colours are very vivid.
Yeah.
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 Deliberately, and they do it in not always in a oh, there's blood so it's red, but in the scene where he gets the shit kicked out of him by hobos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all these red bursts of light happening around him.
And
Yeah.
he's obviously got the
Really-
red ski mask thing as well, which I think is a
Yeah, the
deliberate
red
choice.
ski mask is the main thing that... Because, none of the other red... when you look at his red car and her red hair, they're a very faded orangey red.
Yeah.
But the red bandana is, the most red thing in this comic book.
Yeah.
It's a bit Schindler's List, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that's exactly what they were going for, Liam.
I have a genuine question though. So on the front cover, you've got Ed Brubaker, who's obviously the writer, Sean Phillips, who's the artist. What's Elizabeth Breitweiser? What was her contribution?
Colorist.
Is that for sure? Because I'm looking in the actual comic and I don't see that anywhere.
It
says it on the
Wikipedia
Wikipedia article.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Which one is it?
Colorist. It says it on Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I think she did a good job.
Well done.
Yeah, no, the colours are really good in this. That's literally the point I just made.
Yeah. Can I explain why I don't like the white side bits with the lots of text?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I don't like it when, and this is just a personal thing, when graphic novels have like huge chunks of text, because I get to a point where I'm like, oh, do you just want to write a story here? Like when there's more text than art, I'm like, just write a book.
That's so bizarre because...
That's also not correct.
Yeah.
There's no pages where there's more text than art.
Well, no,
they balance it out.
There's pages
There's
where
not.
there's like one
Liam,
big
I'm
panel.
literally flipping through it now. I've found three pages where it's not quite 2/3, but it's always more than half the page is the image on the white spaces. He's using a really cool, like, not 50-50, because 50-50
Yeah, but it's like one
great.
image. You look at it and like, yeah, it might be a big image. Like the page size,
No,
it might
they're
take
usually
up
3
more.
images.
What?
There's a lot
okay,
of different spreads in this comic. We could be here all night, like dissecting all of them.
That's not.
Okay, well, alright, so the majority, Liam, are not the ones you're talking about. So maybe focus on the majority, not the single example you found.
I don't know. I'm looking at quite a few where I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm just saying like that. That's why I don't particularly like the white text thing. But that's just a personal.
That's weird because the reason I like it is because it does mix up that like conventional comic like panel with text on thing. I think it's good to have that variety.
Perfect example is right in the middle of the book when you've got young Kira sat on the stairs. That's like one half. You've got a load of text next to that. Then the other half is the orgy with the mum in, but then a load of text down the other side. And I just look at that and I'm like, that's a lot more text than art there, like sort of thing.
Because
that's
the
fair
art
enough.
is
To me, I'm just like...
No, I get it, but like the art, it tends to be balanced with quite specific art, if that makes sense. Like there's something quite significant going on in the art to balance out what's being talked about in the text.
Sometimes. I mean, I've just flicked to a page where, again, there's a lot of text down the side, and it's literally just him walking home with Kira, and she's just carrying a bag of groceries or something.
Okay, well, maybe it's not always like that, but so what?
Those are the 3 pages in the book that prove your point. Very good, Liam.
No, I just happened to flick to those.
I mean, they're also not what you were saying, because I take it that your argument for what constitutes a lot of art on a page is not the same as mine. Because in all those pages you said, the art takes up more than half the page, which is what I was saying.
Yeah, but I mean, when I say art,
so it's a big detailed image.
Yeah, no, but when I say art, I mean like those images. You look at them and you pretty much immediately get what's going on in them. It's not like an image that you can really pore over.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, they're like some of the most detailed art pieces in this thing. So
there's not a lot going on. He's literally just walking. He's following her home.
There's not always a lot going on in art, Liam. That's like, what are you talking about? Some of these panels are just him sitting on a train.
Yeah, but they're tiny little panels.
Yeah, but that's... I don't know. I personally don't think your argument makes sense.
That's fine.
I don't understand it.
You're allowed your opinion.
Cool. My opinion is those bits work really well.
I agree.
Yeah. And for me, not so well.
We got that.
Good.
Anything else about Kill or Be Killed that we want to argue about?
I'm definitely reading more to find out what happens next.
Good.
Yeah, same. I really hope it...
No, go on.
Sorry, go on, Kat.
No.
I was going to say, I really hope that it... I hope it stays with the theme that I really like, of the whole, we're not quite sure if it's real or not.
Yeah, if the next volume they're like, no, there's definitely a demon, you might not like it so much.
Yeah, or if they're like, he's definitely crazy, I feel like I'd still be like, oh, I'm not 100% sure that I'm into it anymore.
So I've read ahead because I was reading the single issues. I can't remember what number I got to, but it was definitely like after the first and possibly even after the second volume. And I can't remember, which is probably a good thing because I might accidentally spoil it. But it is still good. That's what I remember.
Cool. Sweet.
Would you, does this make you want to read anything else by Brubaker?
Who was that aimed at?
Either of you.
I'm less attracted to names, I guess, is maybe not the right way of saying it, but a way of saying it. Like, I'm not, just because someone who I know wrote something or did something, that's less of a factor to me. Obviously, it is a factor in some things, like Stephen King and Neil Gaiman.
Yeah. Oh, fuck it, don't start on Neil Gaiman.
But for stuff like this, I'm less likely to read it and be like, that guy was really cool, I'm going to go read more of his stuff.
Alright, what about you, Kat?
a similar view on it, but I think it would just massively depend on the story for me.
Yeah, I think...
It would make me want to research Ed Brubaker more to find out what else he has done, but it would have to be the right sort of story and probably not necessarily similar to Kill or Be Killed, but maybe have some, some similarity.
I would recommend both of you to try out Criminal, because it's a series of volumes, but each volume focuses on a different story, but there's like secondary characters that appear in other people's stories. I think you have, but I don't remember if you like it or not.
I think I thought it was okay, but maybe that was just comparative to Kill or Be Killed. I was like, man,
I would recommend giving like 2 or 3 volumes a go, because like I said, each story is its own sort of thing. Yeah. Just there's tertiary characters that crop up.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
As for Kill or Be Killed, are we ready to do our ratings?
I am.
Go on then.
Well, you have to say who first.
Cat.
Fucking hell. I give it a 4 out of 5 for the volume ones.
Ellie.
I also give it a 4 out of 5.
Liam, also 4 out of 5.
Hey, all in agreement.
3 of a kind.
In agreement. That is 3 of a kind, giving it 4 out of 5. Next time. On Nerd.
Yes, Liam.
So, because I'm going to Canada, we've got to do the next one quite quickly.
Yes.
So, still write in, but if we don't get to your thing on the next one, we'll get to it on like the one after. Don't worry. Just, life happens. We're doing the Cloverfield Paradox next time.
Whoa!
It came out when the Super Bowl finished, and we haven't watched it yet, but we've watched Cloverfield, and we liked that. And we've watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, and we thought that was okay, but the ending was a bit of a shame. And now it's the Cloverfield Paradox.
And I think we're going to hate it, but we'll find out.
On the next episode of Nerd on Nerd, I've been Liam Underwood.
What? Whoa, what?
What?
Why, you're doing the sign-off?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'll take over, main hosting duties. Kat, if people want to get in contact with you or see more of the stuff that you do, where can they do that?
They can find me online at More About Kat on Twitter and Instagram and my blog.
Yep, go read Kat's blog.
Yeah, do it.
Sometimes I'm in it, and that's when it's the best.
Well...
Agree to disagree.
Oh, Ellie, what's your favourite blog post of Kat's then?
The one that you were in.
There we go.
I just don't want this to be another argument.
Quit while you're ahead.
That's where you can find Kat. If you want to get in contact with us, you can email us at nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, come on, I thought we were on a time limit. Come on.
Yeah, you can tweet us at nerdonnerd. You can Facebook us at nerdonnerdpod.
What about YouTube?
Facebook.com/. You can go to our YouTube. Liam's uploading all the old episodes again.
iTunes?
So wow, how exciting is that? Go listen to all our old stuff. How exciting. Rate us on iTunes.
Yeah,
5 stars, please.
5
4 stars,
you.
no. 3 stars, no. 2 stars, no. 1 star, no.
Who's listening now?
Everyone! I've been Ellie Kempster.
I've been Liam Underwood.
He's apparently not talking.
I've been Kat Vyson.
Thank you for joining us, Kat. It's International Women's Day. Let's go all enjoy being women.
Okay.
Yay! Kat, any final thoughts?
No.
Cool. Bye.
Bye. Kat, say bye.
Bye.